Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're doing a top 10. The topic for this top 10 things TNA should do on their AMC debut. Now let's jump right into it. Number 10. I marked this so low because it's most likely something that's going to happen. At some point early in the show a history of TNA package. Show the world champions that we all know. Sting, AJ Styles, show the Motor City Machine Gun, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Raven, whoever else they want to show. Guys that maybe the lapsed fans haven't seen, maybe fans that used to watch WCW or watched a decade ago, or watch just WWE now and don't realize that AJ Styles has had such a long career in TNA before going there. Show that, give them that historic representation. I'm pretty sure they're going to do this. That's why it's so low on my list. That's why it's our number 10. I'll go from that, our number 9. They need to up the production. And TNA's not a bad looking show, don't get me wrong by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm a wrestling fan watching a wrestling show. At times, I'm gonna be honest, it looks like a glorified independent show. And they need to work with either WWE or use some of the money they have, maybe get better lighting, better ring skirts, or do the LED ring skirts like WWE has. Something to make the production value better. Make it stand out. Make it look like it's not a second-rate company. Make it look like it's a first-rate company, something that fans should be a fan of just watching this. So that's what I would say would be my number 9 thing they could do. Now going to our next one, number 8. Debut a new commentary team. Now don't get me wrong, Matt Rainwald and Tom Hannafin do a great job. I think they're very good announcers. I think they're solid. However, if you want to start a new era, you start it with a new team. Now, whether that be they keep these two and add a third man to the commentary booth, which I'm not really a fan of the 3-man booths, or they start with a new team altogether. Kevin Kelly's out there and he's fantastic. I'd like to see Kevin Kelly and Josh Barnett be a commentary team again. I thought they did really well when each of them worked in New Japan at separate times as their American announced team. Or, being that TNA has a working relationship with NXT, maybe borrow Steve Corino for their commentary team. I thought he did an excellent job, especially with Kevin Kelly, and I think that could really be something they could do going forward. So yeah, for me, I would switch up the commentary team. Like I said, I don't have a problem with their current team. I think they're good. I just think that a new era needs a new team. Now, our number 7, heavily involved in knockouts. This is another thing I think they're going to do. One of TNA's strengths historically has been the knockout division, has been how seriously they treat their women. They treat their women as equal as any wrestling company in the world has ever treated their women. And they could show that here. They could show that they still have some of the best women wrestlers in the world. This is where you want to go if you like women's wrestling. Definitely do that. Have several segments, not just one segment on the show, maybe 2 or 3 matches. And showcase that talent right up front for the fans that are watching that maybe their first time watching TNA. Now our next one, number 6. This is something that if you watch enough of my videos, you hear me actually complain about. But for this, I think it would actually help. And that's introduce a new GM. Yes, I know, I complain about it. I don't like the role of GMs. I do like what Pierce and Aldis do in WWE right now. I like that they're handling it more of a face character. And this is something that I think would help TNA too. And it would also give them a star. And my idea for them to have a new GM, Kurt Angle. Not only is Kurt Angle a guy that arguably had the best years of his career in TNA, he's associated with that product. He's also somebody that casual wrestling fans know. They know the meme if nothing else. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer, probably in the top 5 or 10 wrestlers that's ever stepped into a ring. So he has that instant credibility. He has that star power. He has the capabilities to cut promos, to be goofy, to be serious. And I know they got Santino there in that role, and I like Santino in that role. Again, this is like the commentary thing. I like him in that role, but maybe make him an understudy of Kurt Angle, have Kurt doing the lion's share of the work and him being the comedy relief. Kind of like Commissioner Foley, if you remember that, if you're old enough to remember that era. But yeah, I would bring in Kurt Angle as a GM. Now, our number 5. There's bound to be at least one, so this is one I would love to see. The surprise debut of Danhausen. Danhausen has basically been not used in AEW, and I don't even know how long at this point. I can't tell you the last time I seen Danhausen on AEW television. I'm pretty sure from everything I heard that his contract ends at the end of this year, and I might be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, but I think he'd be someone, he's not necessarily going to bring in a lot of fans. He will bring in the fans of Danhausen, which there's a lot of. But I think he's someone that if you're watching this with a family, he's someone that the kids will gravitate to. He's someone that wrestling fans that like a little bit of goofiness in their show, like a little bit of silliness, they'll gravitate to. So I think he's someone that can benefit them. I think he would definitely help out their roster. I'd love to see him on TV again. I'm a big fan of Danhausen. I would love to see him be a surprise here. Now, number 4, this is something I think they should definitely do on the very first show, and that's have Frankie Kazarian put up his world title in a rematch versus Mike Santana. And I would have Santana win it back. First off, Kazarian is a name that maybe some people, again, that are lapsed fans that watched TNA in the past or kind of remember him from AEW in the early years of AEW. They may know who Kazarian is. They may not know who Santana is, but you build that with promos during the show. And you show them their history. You show how Santana has built over his career. I would do this. You got a feel-good moment. You build the new champion at the end of the show. Kurt Angle stands out there, helps him with the belt, kind of like Dana White giving the belt to one of his champions. I think this would definitely be a great way to not only give Santana the belt because fans hated the fact that they took it off him right away, but it would also show the new fans, this is our guy. Oh, this is the guy that they're looking at as a main guy, and they can build him as such. And I think Santana definitely is a main star, and I definitely think he has the talent to pull it off. The fans will gravitate to him. That's something I would definitely do. Now, our number 3. This is one that I hate to say because I've talked to the person in real life, and in real life, I like them, and I think they're a nice person. And I think they made some mistakes. Don't get me wrong. They have made mistakes. And that's our number 3 is keep Tessa Blanchard off the first show. The negativity that's still associated with her name, I don't think you want that anywhere near the show. Whether it's just between the wrestling fans saying, the chants that they've been saying to her, or the reviews that you'll get the next day when people are looking over it that may have missed it, and they see that Tessa Blanchard's there and the reviews are destroying them for keeping her on the show. I would leave her off this first show at least until the hype dies down from that, that initial push, because obviously they're going to get a push that initial show. That initial show is going to be bigger than any other show that they have. I would say they're probably going to get around 400,000 views would be my guess, would be a very great viewership for them for the first show. But by the time we get into February and March, it'll probably be around the 250,000 range, which it's a lot. If I had that many people watching these videos, I would be a very wealthy man. Well, not very wealthy, but I'd have more money. So I would keep her off until that initial buzz wears off and then bring her back in. I do think she deserves a redemption. I do think she made a mistake, and I think as America, as wrestling fans, we could forgive her eventually. Now, going from that, our number 2. We already talked about one surprise. The second one is a huge surprise, and that's have Y2J Chris Jericho appear. Now, all signs are pointing to Chris Jericho going to WWE, and that may be his destination. However, WWE and TNA have a working relationship right now. So if WWE wants to help them out and boost their rating, you can have Chris Jericho show up in TNA, and then he can also show up at the Royal Rumble. They don't have to be separate from each other. And he could come there and either be the guy, there's always going to be that trope of a wrestler staring down the new champion. He could be that guy, or he could be the guest commentator for the show, or anything. Just having Jericho's presence on that show, it gives them a star power that I don't want to say they don't have on the current roster, because we're going to talk about something here in a moment, but it adds more star power. It adds a face that every wrestling fan knows, and a lot of casual fans and lapsed fans also know. So I would definitely have Jericho show up on the show. Now, normally on my top 10s, I do a best of the rest. For this one, I wanted to make this list, and I wanted to get it out, so I didn't put a best of the rest, so we only have 10 today. With that being said, the number 1 thing I think TNA should do for their first show on AMC, start the show with Matt and Jeff Hardy. I don't care if they're in an in-ring promo. I don't care if you start a match with them. The first 2 wrestlers that the public needs to see on this show is Matt and Jeff Hardy. As of right now, these are the two biggest stars that you have on a global scale, and you could argue two of the biggest stars of the last 2 decades. One of the greatest tag teams of all time. Both men have a crazy following. Jeff Hardy has an insane following. I could tell you, I am a wrestling figure collector, and I go on a lot of whatnot shows to buy wrestling figures and such, and there's 3 guys that always sell out. Rey Mysterio, John Cena, Jeff Hardy. They can't keep Jeff Hardy figures. As soon as anyone sees their figure, they buy them. He is that popular, and Matt isn't that far behind. Don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting Matt. I like Matt a lot. Actually, out of the Hardys, I think Matt is my favorite of the two. That being said, you put these two men front and center, let the world know that the Hardy Boys are in TNA wrestling. If you want to watch the Hardy Boys, this is where you need to watch them. And that would be my optimal way to start the program, and my number one thing that I think they should do. And if they do nothing else on this list, they should definitely do that. Because I do think that out of everything I said here, even with Jericho, even with Kurt Angle, the biggest long-term return on investment, would be showcasing that the Hardy Boys are there, and showcasing to the fans that they can watch the Hardy Boys there. With all that being said, that's my top 10. If there's something that you think that you would like to see them do on that debut show, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you think I put something too high, something too low. Let me know down here. Smash the like button, share the video, subscribe, all that fun stuff we all tell you to do. It definitely helps, and I can tell you right now, my page needs the help. It's going through a little bit of a dry spell, so I appreciate it if you do all that. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and you've been watching Heel Heat.